I've owned 5 bikes in 5 years. After upgrading to two 900cc bikes last year, I recently purchased a Honda Rebel 500cc, and I couldn't be happier with my decision. From a female rider perspective, here's why quote unquote downgrading to a Honda Rebel was the best decision for me. I started my motorcycle journey in 2018 when I got my license and purchased my first bike, a Honda Rebel 250cc. After a year of riding, I upgraded to a Suzuki Boulevard, which had a 650 displacement. I owned the Suzuki for 2 years and I rode it everywhere. During the first 3 years of riding, I usually rode alone or with just one other person, so I decided to try riding in a group. All of the riders in the group had a bike displacement of over 1000 cc's. Needless to say, I had a hard time keeping up. This was discouraging, and I thought the problem was with my bike. I'll comment more on this in a bit. Shortly thereafter, I had the opportunity to test ride a 2022 Triumph Bonneville Bobber for a video with a local bike shop. At a 1200cc displacement, 2 times what I was currently riding, I was intimidated by this opportunity. However, I agreed to film the video. Having experienced the power of a 1200cc bike, it was hard for me to go back to my Suzuki. So a month later, I bought a Yamaha Bolt, and 6 months later, a Triumph Scrambler. Now, I've already created 2 other videos about my experiences regarding these 2 bikes, and I'll link them in the caption. However, my experience can be summed up as follows. I thought that the natural progression of being a rider was to continue to increase your engine size and upgrade your bike to something bigger and better. I realize now that bigger isn't always better, and it really is about fit. While I loved the power of a 900cc bike, I preferred the flexibility and control I had over a smaller bike. I found myself actively avoiding certain situations or riding conditions where I wasn't certain I could get myself out of them. This was a stark contrast to my experience on riding my smaller bikes. So having now owned 4 bikes, I realized that the 2 most important factors for me was seat height and bike weight. I created a spreadsheet and did research on all cruiser bikes, comparing and contrasting these 2 details. The Honda Rebel 500cc came in at 408 pounds and 27-inch seat height, a perfect fit for me. So a couple of weeks later, I was riding home on my new Honda Rebel 500cc. The same day I bought the bike, I did a test ride, which included freeway riding, canyon riding, riding down PCH on a crowded Sunday afternoon, maneuvering through pedestrians, jaywalkers, tons of cars, hills, and stop-and-go traffic. This one little test ride gave me something I had been missing for over a year: my confidence. It all started with that group ride I had tried a year prior, when I thought I needed to get a bigger bike to quote-unquote keep up with the others. And I realize now I don't need to keep up with anyone, and there was nothing wrong with the bike I had. That being said, I have zero regret of the experiences I've had and lessons I've learned. I now know I'm a capable rider, and I'm capable of riding a heavier bike with a larger displacement. But just because you're capable of something doesn't mean that it's the right choice for you. It feels serendipitous to be back in the Rebel family. And while the title of this video says why I quote-unquote downgraded to a Honda Rebel 500cc, I actually upgraded because I found a bike that fits me and fits what I want in a bike. I have loved each of the bikes I've owned in different ways, but now I know I've always been a rebel at heart.